All right, let's go over your assignment. See if you interpreted or these p-values correctly, made correct decision, and said all the context correctly. So here we go. This first problem is about the proportion of children who show signs of autism. And there were our hypotheses. We thought we were investigating if that proportion has increased. And so then I gave you these numbers. Basically, the p-value was 0. Okay, so then here we go. Here's where your work came in. The p-value, which is basically 0, is less than alpha of 0.05 because it did not tell me another significance level. So the default is 0.05. So that p-value is low. Reject HO. P-value is low. Reject HO. The null hypothesis has to go. All right. So there's our decision. Okay, so remember that if you reject HO, then you have evidence of this, and you state it in context that the proportion of children who show some sign of autism is greater than 0.06%. Okay, there is evidence that the proportion of children who show some signs of autism is greater than 6%. Now, then see if there's any other question. Is there strong evidence that the level of autism has increased? There is. This seems to suggest that the level of autism has increased. Now, FYI, we cannot say that it is because of chemicals in the environment. So we are not investigating the cause of that because if you remember from the beginning of the year, the only way to determine cause and effect is with an experiment. That would mean you randomly assign some children to not be exposed to chemicals in the environment, and you randomly assign some children to be exposed to chemicals in the environment. And we're not doing that, so we never can really say the cause. Is it something else? Could it be because of we're just identifying those children better and those signs and symptoms better? We have a broader spectrum of what we classify as the autism spectrum. So we cannot necessarily say what the cause is. So do not put that in your conclusion. All right, second one was about that proportion of customers who have complaints, wondering if it has decreased, and it definitely has not. So that p-value was greater than alpha, so we fail to reject. There is no evidence that the proportion of customers who have complaints is less than 8%. It does not appear as though that company has reduced its proportion of negative comments. All right, this one was about the seeds sprouting after being left in the package for a year. So the proportion of seeds that sprout after 1 year left in the package. Is it still 92% or has it decreased? Well, look at that p-value we got was basically 0. So that p-value of 0 is less than alpha. Oh, look here. They must have given me a significance level. They said, yes, at the 4% level of significance. That's alpha. Okay, that level of significance is alpha. So since that p-value is low, reject HO. P-value. Okay, so we rejected HO. So we rejected HO. We have evidence of HA, that the proportion of seeds that sprout after 1 year left in the package is less than 0.92. So then I answer the question, is this evidence that the seeds have lost their viability? Yes. This suggests that the seeds have lost their viability after 1 year in storage. Remember that this statement here is about evidence or not evidence is always about HA. Evidence or no evidence is always about HA. All right, our fourth one was about that computer company wanting its brand to be recognized and associated with the computer equipment after the Super Bowl commercials have aired. Has it increased? Well, that p-value was actually pretty big, 0.1954. very much could be because of sampling variability. P-value equals 0.1954, definitely greater than our alpha of 0.05. So our sample would not be in the rejection region. So we fail to reject. Okay, remember, I do not say that the recognition rate is 0.40. Don't you say that. Don't you dare say there's evidence of HO. Evidence or not evidence is always about HA. So we do not have evidence that the proportion of people who recognize this company and associate it with computer equipment after the Super Bowl commercials is greater than 0.40. Not evidence of HA. Therefore, then it asks the question, would you recommend that the company continue to advertise? No way, Jose, too expensive. Therefore, I would not recommend that the company advertise during the Super Bowl. I don't have evidence that it made the increase that they wanted. All right, and here's this last one about the proportion of trees in the Hopkins forest with some sort of acid rain damage. Is it staying at 0.15 as the rest of the region, or is it greater? I got a low p-value. So that, and let's see. Did it tell me an alpha? With the 1% level of significance. That's your alpha. So do you see here? That's why I did that. So the p-value of 0.0051 is less than 0.01. So if that p-value is low, reject HO. So I'm going to reject HO, and I have evidence that the proportion of trees in the Hopkins forest with some form of damage has greater than 0.15. Evidence of HA. Therefore, okay, let's see. It asked another question. Does this sample suggest that the trees in the Hopkins forest are more susceptible to acid rain damage? And yes, it does. Therefore, this sample does suggest that the Hopkins forest is more susceptible to acid rain damage than the rest of the region. Okay, this is just huge that you are getting these full and complete conclusions. This is the crux of all of the statistics that are drawn in studies that we do. And I hope that you see the importance of this and understand its significance, for lack of a better word. Okay, so I hope that you're getting all of those, understanding how to write those conclusions, because we're going to do a warm up and then quiz. Make sure that you understand this also includes writing out that p-value definition, so you may have to revisit your work on that. All right, so good luck to you on your warm up.